A $400 Bluetooth sprinkler timer wastes 35% of every gallon it touches. A $5 rain barrel hooked to a length of soaker hose delivers 95%. The marketing wants you confused about that gap, but the physics has not moved in 4,000 years, and once you see how the trick works, you will never look at a smart irrigation ad the same way again. Here is the promise. In the next few minutes, you will understand exactly why a barrel, a roof, and gravity outperform the most expensive irrigation systems on the market, why ancient farmers in China and North Africa already solved this problem before written language existed, and why the modern garden industry has spent decades selling you complexity it does not want you to question. By the end, you will have a complete setup you can build this weekend for under $30, and a clear picture of the math that makes every other option look absurd. Start with the core trick because it is almost insultingly simple. You take a 55-gallon food-grade barrel and you elevate it 2 to 4 feet above your garden beds, usually on a stack of cinder blocks. You attach a low-pressure soaker hose or drip line directly to the spigot at the bottom. That is the entire system. There is no pump. There is no electricity. There is no timer. Gravity does all of the work, every minute of the day, for free, forever. The science behind it is something you can calculate on the back of a napkin. Every single foot of elevation generates roughly 0.43 pounds per square inch of water pressure. Lift the barrel 4 feet, and you are pushing nearly 2 pounds per square inch through the line. That is enough pressure to drive water through a half-inch line and cover about 20 to 25 feet of bed length. It is not enough to run a standard drip emitter because those are engineered to require 10 pounds per square inch or more, and that is the first place most beginners get stuck. The fix is just as simple as the rest of the system. You either use bubbler emitters designed for low pressure, or you hand punch small holes directly into the line at each plant. That is the entire technology. Holes in a hose below a barrel. Now compare what that costs you against what the industry is selling. A serious commercial Bluetooth irrigation kit runs anywhere from $400 to $2,000. It needs power, it needs pressure regulators, it needs filters and replacement valves and an app update every spring. The $5 setup needs none of that. And here is the part the marketing absolutely will not tell you. The cheap one is more efficient. Not slightly, not within a margin of error, dramatically more efficient. The United States Department of Agriculture classifies drip irrigation at 90% application efficiency. Sprinkler systems, even the expensive ones, run at 65 to 75% at best. Switching from sprinklers to drip routinely cuts a household's total water use by 40 to 70%. The reason is mechanical and obvious once you see it. Sprinklers throw water into the air, where wind carries it sideways. Evaporation steals it before it lands, and most of what reaches the ground runs across hard soil instead of soaking in. Drip lines deliver water directly to the root zone, exactly where the plant actually drinks. The math has been settled for decades. The marketing just refuses to acknowledge it because the math does not sell hardware. But there is something else going on in that barrel, and this is where things get genuinely interesting. The water itself is different. Tap water and rainwater are not the same liquid as far as your plants are concerned, and the difference matters more than almost any gardener realizes. Rainwater has a natural pH between 5.5 and 6.5. That is the exact sweet spot where plant roots can absorb nutrients most efficiently. Tap water, by contrast, is treated with chlorine and often fluoride, and chlorine actively blocks nitrogen uptake at the root level. Every time you water with the hose, you are slightly suppressing the biological activity of the soil underneath your plants. Rainwater does the opposite. It carries dissolved oxygen at higher concentrations than treated water. It contains natural nitrates from lightning, which fixes atmospheric nitrogen and washes it down with every storm. In other words, every thunderstorm fertilizes your barrel for free before the water has even hit your roof. And there is a long-term consequence to tap water that nobody at the garden center will mention. Treated municipal water deposits salts and minerals into your soil with every watering. Over years, those salts accumulate, and they damage root development in ways that are slow, quiet, and almost impossible to diagnose. Rainwater does the reverse. It actually flushes accumulated salts out of garden beds. The barrel is not just cheaper, it is biologically superior in a measurable, repeatable, soil test verifiable way. Now here is where the story gets older than most people expect, because this is not a new idea. This is not even a modern idea. The buried clay pot, called an olla, has been used in China, India, and North Africa for at least 4,000 years. Farmers buried unglazed ceramic vessels next to their crops, filled them with water, and let the porous walls of the pot release moisture slowly into the surrounding soil. The plants drank exactly what they needed, when they needed it, and nothing was lost to evaporation. A 2013 field trial in Kenya documented 97% water savings compared to furrow irrigation. The same trial showed a 32% increase in maize yield and a 44% jump in tomato yield. Buried clay pot irrigation saves up to 80% of the water used in surface irrigation, and 40% even compared to modern pressurized drip systems. The yields match or exceed flood irrigation while using a fraction of the water. Sit with that for a second. A clay pot buried in the dirt beats a multi-thousand-dollar industrial system on both efficiency and output. There is no smart chip. There is no subscription. There is no app. And industrial agriculture cannot patent unglazed clay or the concept of gravity, which is exactly why you have never seen a commercial selling them. This is the part of the story that explains why the cheap solution stays hidden. Industrial agriculture is locked into pressurized, energy-intensive infrastructure. A center pivot irrigation system costs hundreds of thousands of dollars per unit. The supply chain, the dealer network, the financing arrangements, the service contracts, all of it depends on selling complexity. A $5 gravity setup makes the entire commercial irrigation hardware market look ridiculous at small scale, and the industry knows it. Bluetooth-enabled timers and pressure regulators generate recurring revenue. Rain barrels generate one purchase and last for decades. The markup on smart irrigation hardware at your local garden center routinely exceeds 400%. A gravity system has no service contracts, no replacement parts, no firmware updates, no subscriptions. There is nothing to sell you after the barrel. The real-world numbers compound fast. A serious backyard gardener can save more than $35 a month on peak summer water bills with a barrel system. 1 inch of rain falling on a 1,000 square foot roof captures roughly 620 gallons of water. A typical American home, across a full year, can collect tens of thousands of gallons off the roof alone. The entire setup costs you between $5 and $30 for a repurposed food-grade barrel and a handful of fittings. The system pays itself back in a single growing season, and then it just keeps paying you every month for as long as the barrel holds water. The break-even point on a $400 commercial system, by comparison, often exceeds the actual service life of its electronics. Now, to be honest with you, there is a catch, and I promised we would get to it. Gravity-fed irrigation has real limitations, and any video pretending otherwise is selling you something. You need elevation, which means flat ground without a deck. A raised platform or a slope is going to make the system harder to build. Drip lines need a fine mesh filter, or they will eventually clog with sediment from the barrel. Your capture volume is limited by how much rain actually falls in your region, which means in arid climates you will want this as a supplement, not a sole source. You will need mosquito screens on every barrel opening because standing water is exactly what mosquitoes want. Clear barrels will grow algae, so use opaque containers or paint them. And in cold climates, you have to drain the system before winter, or freezing water will crack your barrel and your lines. None of these problems are deal breakers. They are just the honest trade-offs that the marketing for commercial systems never bothers to mention either. What is striking when you step back is how completely the modern garden industry has rebuilt a problem in order to sell you the solution. The supplement industry does the same thing with synthetic nutrients, repackaging what soil and sunlight already provide and charging you a subscription for it. Gravity has not been improved upon. Roof catchment has not been improved upon. The basic physics of low-pressure water delivery cannot be patented or monetized, which is exactly why the industry has spent so much energy convincing you that simple is not enough. Ancient farmers in China, India, and North Africa solved water efficiency 4,000 years ago. Modern science has only recently caught up to confirm what those civilizations already knew. The hardware on the shelf at the garden center is not progress, it is marketing. So here is the bottom line, and it ties straight back to where we started. You do not need $400 of Bluetooth-controlled hardware to water a garden. You need a barrel, you need a roof, you need gravity. The technology was perfected before written language existed, and the marketing of complexity does not change the underlying physics. Rainwater is biologically superior to tap water. A free resource falls from the sky and rolls off your roof every time it rains. The only real question is whether you catch it or whether you let it run into the storm drain while you pay your water bill and wait for the app to sync. If you want to try this, start small. 1 barrel, 1 bed, 1 season. Put it on a stack of cinder blocks this weekend, punch a few holes in a length of half-inch hose, and let gravity do the rest. Watch what happens to your plants when you stop fighting 4,000 years of proven physics and start working with it instead. And the next time you walk past a $400 smart sprinkler on a garden center shelf, you will know exactly what you are looking at and exactly what you are not going to buy.